Hi Chefeteers, I'm Chef Nakia and I want you to be more confident in the kitchen. And today I am going to share with you 5 essential meals to add to your weekly rotation to reduce some of the stress at dinner time. And these 5 meals I kind of picture as, you can add one into your existing plan each week to mix things up a little bit, but all of these recipes are very quick and easy to cook, and they will use up a lot of leftover ingredients that you might have hanging around. So you get the benefit of cleaning out your fridge and having a stress-free dinner. So I'll talk through all of these meals, but I, for one, am a more visual learner, so I always love having, a piece of paper or something in front of me. So if you want your own copy of these recipes, you can head down to the description of the video, and there is a PDF that you can download. You can print it and put it in your cookbook or at your family command center, or save it as a bookmark on your computer, whatever works well for you. But if you want a downloadable copy of these items, just head right on down to that description box. You all know that I love talking about infusing joy into food and creating joyful food. And while there are some days where joyful food just means how quick can I get dinner on the table. So for those nights, these meals will come in as your hero. So the first one we're going to talk about is zucchini and veggies on rice. Now for this recipe specifically, I do have long grain white rice, but you can absolutely swap that out for brown rice, Thai jasmine rice, basmati rice, wild rice, or truly pretty much any other grain, starch or grain. So you could definitely use farro or bulgur or sorghum or couscous or orzo or angel hair pasta. Kind of whatever you have on hand that you want to eat through. Go ahead and make that as the bed. And then for protein, I have Italian sausage on top, but you could absolutely use chorizo or brats. Maybe, you're grilling brats out on the grill for a dinner and then you've got a couple left over. Well, we're going to slice these up and reheat them so that all of the edges get a little bit of caramelization on them. So if you're feeding 4 people but you only have 3 brats, you can definitely make that stretch to feed all 4 people. And if you really don't like, sausage or brat style meats, you could go with leftover rotisserie chicken or chicken breast, fish, or if you're looking for vegan options, you could definitely use tofu or sauteed mushrooms or a plant-based sausage alternative, whatever your favorite is. Pretty much whatever protein you love the most, you can work into this meal. And then as far as veggies go, I have zucchini, Roma tomatoes, or cherry tomatoes, not Roma tomatoes, but you could use Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, and bell pepper. And now as we move further into the summer season, you may have some of these growing in your backyard gardens. And so when I do zucchini, I know I always have way more zucchini growing than I can actually really eat. So I'm always looking for new recipes. And so this is where this recipe really was born from. But whether you have zucchini in your own backyard, you have neighbor's zucchini, or you're buying it from the grocery store, this is a great recipe to use that up. And then tomatoes and bell peppers are ingredients I find myself using a lot and kind of always having on hand. But sometimes, you can see that pepper kind of the skin wrinkling a little bit. You're like, ooh, I need to eat that up quickly. So that is how this meal can be a great one to use up some of those leftover vegetable ingredients, maybe even some protein ingredients before they go bad. And the second dinner is a soup. And this is definitely one that I tend to eat more fall, winter, and spring. Probably not gonna cook it too much in the summer, so maybe try this one first. if you're, watching this video as soon as it comes out. But wild rice, chicken, and mushroom stew. And this is one of those soups that, even though I have the vegetables listed out, you can really experiment and have a lot of fun adding in like whatever is in your refrigerator or on your counter. So a couple of the veggies that I have listed are carrots, bell pepper, and asparagus. And if you have green beans, you can totally use those in addition to or in place of the asparagus. And you can use whatever color bell pepper you want. I have yellow here, but like you can totally use orange or red in place of yellow. And you could even add green pepper if you want a little bit of that more like vegetal flavor. And then I use baby portobello mushrooms in this, but you could totally use white mushrooms, or you could even experiment with, like, if you're at the farmer's market and somebody has some mushrooms that you may or may not be very familiar with, choose mushrooms that have decent sized caps. Something like a lion's mane isn't really gonna be the ideal texture for this dish, but any of those mushrooms that have nice looking caps, you could totally try to substitute in to use those up. And this is another great meal that could use rotisserie chicken. If you bought a whole chicken at the store and you are working on ways to use it up, you can use leftover rotisserie chicken in here. You could use really any type of chicken, so you could use dark meat or light meat chicken. And then if you have chicken stock or veggie stock, or if you like to make your own stock at home, the broth of this soup is really easy to sub in whatever stock you have on hand. I have even made this before where I used like the cup and a half leftover of chicken stock that I had, and then the rest veggie stock. It's gonna taste really delicious no matter what kind of stock you use. And then I do specifically use wild rice in this most of the time, but if you don't like wild rice or you don't have it on hand, you can substitute in a lot of different grains, or you could put beans in place of the rice. So a lot of different options with this stew. And once you make it the first time, I bet you're never gonna look at the recipe again. You're just gonna get used to tossing in whatever looks good and whatever you want to use up from your fridge. And another dish to use up some of that rotisserie chicken is rotisserie chicken street tacos. And this recipe is intentionally pretty vague. I have the tortillas, the street style tortillas, but you can get flour or corn, whatever you want, or make them at home. And then the rotisserie chicken, and then for toppings and stuff, I keep it super simple, cabbage and fresh lime, but that's so that you can add on whatever your favorites are, and you don't have to worry about taking stuff out of the recipe and then adding your own stuff in. It just kind of leaves it open so that you can add in. Do you love jalapeno pineapple slaw, or do you want to do a pico de gallo on it? And honestly, instead of chicken, you could do a white fish, salmon, beef, or pork carnitas. I also think that a black bean corn slaw is a great filling that you could use. You could just go kind of crazy with sauces, and you can do a queso sauce or melt cheese on it and do queso a la plancha type style. And guacamole and salsa, and just be a super saucy taco. But the idea is that this recipe gives you a framework, and then you really fill it in with what you love best and what you need to eat up, right? So definitely look through your fridge and your pantry and your freezer and see what kind of fun fillings and toppings you can add. And everyone in your family could build themselves slightly different tacos. So if you have, kids at home that you're trying to get into the kitchen more often, you could say hey, it's your responsibility, make one taco topping that you think, or that you would really enjoy, or that you think we would all enjoy, or something like that. And then each kid can allow their own creativity and their own flavor preferences to create something a little bit new. And that's less prep work for you as the parent. And the fourth meal is fried rice, and this is one of my all-time favorite catch-all meals. Catch-all meals is what I like in general call these meals, where every time you cook it, you can use slightly different ingredients just based on what's in your fridge, and they're so delicious in so many different versatile ways. And so fried rice definitely is super duper versatile. And another nice thing about this meal specifically is that you don't have to have like a large quantity of each ingredient that you want to add in, because it all gets mixed in together. If you only have like half of a carrot left, it's really easy to just add that carrot in, you know, like dice it pretty small, and it's just gonna get mixed around. No one's really gonna miss like, oh man, there should have been 2 full carrots in here. Like, no, it's fine. Totally fine. So for fried rice, I mean, it really is like, what do you like the best to add into it? And if you have like frozen vegetable medley, like you can definitely finish off the bag of that medley in here. Again, asparagus isn't, you know, the bundles of asparagus sometimes seem kind of big and intimidating, but you can definitely throw a couple spears of asparagus into the fried rice. I do like dicing them up into like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch size portions of the spears. And then with broccoli, you can use the broccoli florets, but you can also use that broccoli stem. It adds a nice crunch to the texture of your fried rice. Carrots, celery, bell pepper, again, like any type of bell pepper that you want to add to it, like peas or like mukamame, edamame, or mukamame. So mukamame is just shelled edamame. There are just so many different vegetables that you can add into that fried rice. And also, as far as protein goes, you can use pretty much any leftover protein you want. So I'll say it again, yeah, rotisserie chicken, you totally could. Or you might have leftover salmon or pork, or maybe you don't put in animal protein, but you use tofu instead. Leftover beef, I mean, I've never done fried rice with lamb, but I kind of want to try that now because I bet it would still be really yummy. So you can do so many different styles of fried rice and so many different combinations of things. Get your like protein, use up whatever leftover protein you have in a lot of different ways. So fried rice is that's almost like fried rice is my number one. If there's one meal that I think that you should get more familiar with making at home and work into your weekly routine to try to reduce your food waste, fried rice is the top. To me, it feels like the easiest one to always make. And the last meal is a veggie minestrone. And the recipe here is vegan, but you can very easily add animal protein to it, like chicken or beef or lamb or pork or any of them that I've mentioned. So this minestrone recipe is also a crock pot meal. So if you are going to cook it crock pot style and you want fish, I would recommend cooking that fish separate and adding it in right before you eat it, because it's going to be very easy to overcook that fish in the minestrone, and the flavor of that overcooked fish is probably going to impart itself into some of the veggies, maybe the noodles. There's just a higher risk of it maybe not turning out to be a meal that you're super excited to eat. So caveat with that. But if you make it the way the recipe that I have to share with you says, then it's just in the crock pot and it's vegan. So you don't even have to worry about the fish if you don't want to. With it being vegan, it gets a lot of the protein from the beans that are in it. And then a lot of veggies. And again, kind of whatever veggies you have on hand that you want to use up. Carrots and celery are definitely two that I think it would be weird to be a minestrone without carrots and celery. And a lot of times you buy them in fairly large bundles at the store. So I think that this soup is a great way to eat through the carrots and the celery. And then green beans and corn and tomatoes, and again, if you still have some of that asparagus, leftover asparagus, you could totally add that in. This is another one where if you have like a frozen vegetable blend in your freezer, you can dump that in. You can use canned tomato or fresh tomato. And then for beans, like kidney beans is what this calls for, but you could absolutely use like black beans, pinto beans, and just name all of the beans. You can pretty much use whatever type of bean you have on hand in this minestrone soup. And then I love using pretty large noodles, so like rigatoni noodles, but truly whatever pasta you want to use up, you can use. So again, you name the pasta, I'll tell you, sure, toss it in there. I guess lasagna noodles, that might be a little weird. And then like spaghetti or angel hair pasta, I also probably wouldn't do, just because that's such a great noodle for a lot of other meals, but like how often do you get to eat the little like pinwheel shapes or like the bow ties or some of those more like fun pasta shapes? I highly recommend using in here because it'll make you smile when you eat it. And if you have picky eaters around, then the fun shapes of the pasta might make them more excited to, you know, try the minestrone. And I think once they get 1 or 2 bites of it, they'll be like, ooh, this is really yummy, I want to keep eating. All right, so that's it. Those are your 5 essential meals to add into your weekly rotation. So like I said at the beginning, I recommend adding 1 at a time, like 1 each week, to freshen up your weekly meal plan and, you know, work through the 5 and get familiar with them. I think that anytime that we can plan our meals so that we're using up as many of the ingredients as possible is awesome. And whenever we have a plan, then we're gonna reduce the stress during the week of answering the question, what's for dinner? If you wanna grab your own download, like PDF to download of these recipes and this meal plan, head to the description of the video and there's a link that will take you to my website where you can download the information. And let me know in the comments, which one of these are you most excited to try? Or are there any that you think should be added to this list? I mean, I did limit myself to 5 so that I didn't overwhelm you guys too much. But I love hearing what meals you all love to keep in your weekly rotation because they're quick and easy to make and they use up leftover ingredients. So yeah, I would love to hear your meal ideas in the comments. If you have any questions, absolutely feel free to ask in the comments. And thank you, Chefeteers, so much. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more meal planning ideas and meal ideas and conversations around joyful food. And I will talk to you in 2 weeks.